Today's spooky spot, we're having a look at more of the X-Files figures from the folks over at McFarlane Toys. Now, today's spooky spot, we're having a look at the Parka Mulder and Parka Scully. Now, you'll see that there is a difference between the two packaged figures, and if you've been following my reviews of the X-Files figures, you'll know that these little guys right here are notorious for swapping in and out accessories. And actually, this is a good case because these are both from Series 1, but these kind of fall under revision figures, whereas, you know, they swapped in and out accessories. So like Parka Mulder, in this case, I've got him with the alien, and I'm going to show you guys the alien because the alien was also packaged along with the primordial man, the primitive man. So I'll show you guys a comparison with that when we get that figure opened up. But this Mulder came with this alien. Parka Scully would have come with the containment pod. I've seen Parka Mulder with a containment pod, and I think Parka Scully also came with an alien. So like you could. No, it's like snowflakes. No two X-Files figures seem to be the same. But because we are having a look at the Parka versions of the figures, that's why we're going to be having a look at them, even though they have different accessories. Make sense? Makes sense. Let's hope so. On the back of the package, and I think they are the same packaging. This one actually at least gives us more of an idea of what the figures are that are in the set, whereas the other one just gave us a read-up. So for example, you can see that again, Mulder came with the alien. However, if you flip around the back of the package, you can see that they've done swapsies. They have done swapsies. So Parka Mulder comes with the pod, which in this case Scully has it, and in this case Agent Scully is packaged with the alien, which really isn't right. I mean, again, what you see is the reversed. So again, that's how this set can be a little harder to collect. As completionists go, you probably would end up collecting the same figures with about 4 or 5 different variations. There was also the attack alien that came with the primitive man, and then also there was the fireman. Fireman victim comes packaged with a special man-made chamber called a cryo lifter or cryo litter. The read-ups, I'm not going to actually read because we've kind of already read those with other reviews. The read-ups are the exact same on both of these figures. But what Spot's going to do is take a break. I'm going to get these both opened up. And when we come back, we're going to get a better look at Parka Scully and Parker Mulder, or Agent Scully and Mulder in their Arctic attire. Don't be going anywhere, guys. Stay tuned. Let's look at their accessories first. We're just going to move Mulder and Scully away and move their little side accessories away. Scully does come with the pod. Kind of already seen this before, yes, I know. We've had a look at this because we've already had a look at Mulder, who also came with a pod. And I'm just going to connect the two because I want to show you guys how the two connect. You remember that I put the flooring on Mulder's pod. I've already actually done the same with Scully's. And I've also put this connector piece in as well. So I'm going to take this and I'm going to connect the two via those peg holes on the undersides. And you have two pods that kind of go together. They don't, I know, but to me they slightly remind me of the Borg as well. I know the Borgs are more open and not closed up like this, but they both open up, and you've got the, you know, the two little oozy guys inside with their see-through bodies. The thing is, though, I mean, and Spot's already mentioned this before, like with these, you know, you'll probably, if you're completing all of them, you're probably going to have maybe 4 or 5, possibly 6 pods total. But having them all kind of connected does give you a really neat effect. And if you wanted to recreate some kind of science diorama, maybe with the aliens and, you know, the colonial marines and stuff like that, you know, you could kind of have these stacked against the wall. You don't have to necessarily have like the humans visible inside, but it kind of gives a really neat look to it. So certainly if I was to tip my virtual hat to McFarlane Toys, it's neat that, like, even with the X-Files figures, which are so cheap to find nowadays, you know, you can use like the accessories. Once again, bringing in the very used stretcher, you can use those for other things as well. It doesn't have to be specifically X-Files. You could use these pods for other things too. I'm going to take these, move them off camera because we don't really need to focus our efforts looking at those anymore. And let's have a look at Scully and Mulder. Now Scully, while she did come with the pod, Mulder at least came with the alien. And there's the alien right there. And I'm going to show you guys more of the alien when we do the review of the primitive man in Alien. The alien that comes included with that primitive man is slightly different. The mouth is a little bit different. But I think the body is pretty much the exact same. It's a really neat alien. You could use for, again, other displays. The downside, though, is he's very limited in articulation. He doesn't have any sort of arm articulation. Well, he does and he doesn't. He does, but the one thing that McFarlane did was they put like this rubbery torso piece. I don't know if you can see it. There's a line right there that's dividing where this piece has been put over top. They did it so that the alien's head was rubbery, but I mean, you can't do anything with the head. When it comes to the arms are hinged. You can see right there, they are actually hinged, but you can't really do much with them. This piece right there, why they just didn't cut around it and just have, almost like covering around the shoulders versus covering over the shoulders, you've really limited the option of moving and positioning this figure. Like, I could try to stretch it, but one of two things will happen. Either I'll break the arm, or this will start coming off of its adhered seam. So that kind of sucks. He does have swivel in the wrists, and he doesn't have any swivel waist or anything just because of his, the torso piece. But he does have a swiveled leg. I kind of wish that you could bend or do something with the feet, because the feet, the way that they're posed, make him standing very difficult. Like, to get him to stand properly, because his foot is kind of arched the way it is, it does make things difficult. But there you have the alien. I love this alien. I would like to really use it for other display pieces as well. Just above and beyond X-Files, it's a really neat looking piece. So, having a look at Mulder and Scully, kind of look at their holding hands. They're not quite simply just using the same body and changing out the head, or, keeping the same head and changing out the body. I mean, they are slightly different from one another. I think Mulder's face is about the only thing that survives from one figure to the other. I kind of feel like Parka Mulder, his face looks a little fuller than the original Mulder. Also looks like this original Mulder looks like he almost has like a 5 head. If you don't know what a 5 head is, it's bigger than a 4 head. I'm here all night. But Parker Mulder, I keep wanting to say Parker Lewis. Parker Mulder looks like his face is just a little fuller. It doesn't look as narrow as this one right here. The rest of his body is completely new. And the strange, interesting part is that Mulder's arm, just this arm, has a hinge. You can bend it. This arm does not. This arm swivels. Why? Why would you swivel one arm and hinge the other? It doesn't make any sense whatsoever, because really the only accessory that he does come with is a flashlight, which we've already seen. There's a flashlight right there. So I don't understand why you would need to hinge an elbow and then have the other elbow completely just as a straight swivel. It makes no sense whatsoever. As well, for your articulation, he does have the straight swiveled head like the original Mulder had. Swiveled arms, swiveled shoulders. As I mentioned, the swivel on the one arm, hinge on the other, swiveled wrists, and a swiveled waist. There you have Mulder. Just for imagining if I just got a bump on my head, maybe I got hit by a car, I woke up and I can't remember most of my collection. I don't know if I would go back and say, oh wow, I really would want to get myself Mulder in Arctic attire because it reminds me of the original movie. I think if you were just to get maybe 2 figures, I probably would only get Mulder and Scully in their original suits. I probably wouldn't spend as much effort to get them also in their Arctic attire. I mean, it's not a bad looking figure, but I would just really stick with the originals. I think if I would give Mulder in his parka or Arctic attire, if I could give him a rating, I would give him a very scary 7. Moving along, I say 7 as well. I don't honestly remember what I gave the original Mulder. I think I gave original Mulder probably like a 6.5, maybe a 7. Moving along to Scully, which actually is considerably different from the original Scully versus Mulder. She's very drastically different. The hair I've added for extra effect. She is very drastically different from one to the other. And much like what I said with the Scully with the suit on, I feel like the one, like Scully with the Arctic outfit, I think also looks really good for a figure. I think they both really look like strong candidates for a very accurate looking Gillian Anderson figure. Now the hair is slightly different when it comes to the Arctic Scully. It's strange also, I think, in the movie, Scully is in a chamber, and I think she's naked, and yet Mulder gives her a parka jacket, and then almost all of a sudden she's got pants, which made no sense, but I digress. I think I like this Scully still a lot more, kind of like I like the original Mulder a lot more. At least I do like the fact that that Scully here is completely different. Brand new head, brand new body, and of course goes very well with the Mulder as well. Now speaking of Mulder, she also has the hinged elbow, just on the one. This one here is a swivel. No idea why. She does have the swiveled head, swiveled wrists, a little swiveled wrist down here, and swiveled waist, a little bit stiffer. I just can't figure out why she has a hinged elbow. If you're going to do a hinged elbow here, this elbow looks a little lonely. Why don't you put the hinge there as well? I think collectively, I think if you're going to get like a Arctic Mulder, you're probably going to get Arctic Scully. It's not like you can get Arctic Mulder and then suited Scully. I think between the two figures, she's the stronger looking figure, same as the regular versions that we were looking at. Scully, in her Arctic attire, I'm going to give her a very scary 7. Now, when I say scary 7, I don't necessarily mean that these figures are on par with what you would expect from like Marvel Legends or like the NECA figures, but really in their own right, you know, in looking at the year that these would have been produced, engaging them along those same kind of retro figures. Yeah, you know what? I think they're good figures. I don't think they stack as well to the original, and for some reason they have such a tough time standing, especially Scully has such a tough time standing. But you know what, I would still probably prefer, there they are right there, the original business suit Scully and Mulder. Just to me, that's my preference, because if I'm only going to display 2 of them on display, I'm going to kind of go with the basics. There's the basic Mulder and Scully. Today's spooky spot, though, Spot was having a look at more of the X-File figures from McFarlane Toys, and we were having a look today at Arctic Suit Mulder and Arctic Suit Scully, each with Swapsy accessories. The alien right here, and the pod, the very vicious, demonic pod. Don't be going anywhere, guys. Spot's going to have more spooky spots in your way. Thanks for watching as you always do. I'll see you next time. Woo.